Mickey Finn, Part 2. Carla couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, throwing the duvet off, then pulling it back on again. She got up to check her front door was locked, then made sure her windows were shut. But even with that peace of mind, she still couldn't sleep. She reflected on the night. Once Pinprick had been dragged away, they tried to go back to enjoying the evening, but the vibe was gone. So they went for a curry and then went their separate ways. She thought she'd sleep well with all the alcohol and the drama, but now she was showered and in bed, she was as wide awake as ever. She was angry. No, more than angry, she was livid. She was angry with that prick. He just thought she'd give herself to him, and when she wasn't forthcoming, he thought he could take what he wanted. Like women were just there at men's convenience. Fucking men. Fucking stupid men. Either they thought they owned you or they played around with your emotions, never quite willing to make that commitment. God, she hated men. But actually she knew she was angry with herself. Why the fuck hadn't she phoned the police? She just let the bouncers drag the rapist away without getting the police involved. At the time, the head honcho doorman had said the police might want to talk to her about assault, so she'd agreed to let it lie. But now, that bastard was out there, and when his nose was better, he'd be trying it again. Maybe the next woman wouldn't notice his sleight of hand, and Carla would be responsible. Surely she would be willing to be charged with assault if it meant that Sleaze was off the streets. She pumped up the pillows again, but it was no use. Her brain was far too wired for sleep. Carla guessed she must have fallen asleep at some stage because now she was waking up. She thought for one horrible moment it might be Monday and she had to go to work, but then her brain kicked in and she realised it was Sunday and there was one more sleep before the inevitable toil started again. She thought about the events of last night and decided she had to do something. She had to go to the police. But tell them what? She thought as she waited for the kettle to boil. That she thought a man had slipped her a Mickey Finn in the bar last night? She wasn't raped or assaulted. She hadn't even taken the drug. And was slipping someone a drug even a crime? She didn't know. The police would laugh at her, tell her to grow up. No, she'd stay at home, she thought to herself as she poured the milk into her instant coffee, and promised herself for the umpteenth time to buy a Nespresso machine. And that's how they get away with it, she thought to herself under the shower, because people don't say anything. And what were you saying about the Savile case? She asked herself. That those women should have spoken up at the time. And now look at you, ready to let it lie. You have to tell the police. You have to go. At least make them aware he's out there and dangerous. She finished drying herself off and started to get dressed. She'd go to the police. What the hell are you doing here? Wasting police time, wasting your own time. You're a fool. Get up and leave now. Carla was sitting in a waiting room waiting for a copper to take her statement. She wasn't having second thoughts, she was having 8th, 9th, 10th thoughts. She went over the story again in her mind. It sounded flimsy even to her. She had no name, only a vague memory of what the guy looked like, and only a suspicion that he did what she claimed he did. Maybe she should go home, but the thought that he was out there, waiting for another opportunity, re-entered her mind just as a police officer entered the room. He was nice enough, understanding enough. He'd been patient as she told her story, but then he apologised and said there was not much that he could do. It was exactly as Carla had expected. No crime had definitely been committed by an unknown person, and there was little chance of any evidence. The copper apologised profusely, and Carla almost felt like he was genuine, but she left the station disappointed. Well, she said to herself on the steps of the cop shop, if they're not going to get the pinprick off the streets, then I am. And with that, she went off in search of a Starbucks.